guys, it's Christy, and today I'm going to be doing the second quarter recap of my 2018 reading goals. So I think I did pretty well this quarter. I was able to read 4 books. I read 1 book on writing, I read 1 fantasy fiction novel, and then I read 2 contemporary fiction novels. So I think I did pretty well in those areas. I did have some sort of goals related to the type of book that I was reading because I really wanted to diversify. One of the goals I didn't mention in my previous video is that I really want to support new authors, and so their debut novels, I really want to do my part as a fellow author and support them. So that being said, the first one that I read was How to Write Dazzling Dialogue by James Scott Bell. I have a lot of his books on writing and I really enjoy his style. He's very clear and to the point. He doesn't give a lot of unnecessary explanation. His books are really great references that I can, dog ear and come back to later. But this one in particular, I really wanted some practice with dialogue and just doing a little bit more analysis as far as what makes good dialogue and what makes, how you can use a scene of mostly dialogue to still, elevate the tension and insert conflict and all of those things, how you can have all these elements in your dialogue. So I really enjoyed this book. It was still thin, which if you've seen some other of my videos, I mentioned that I really enjoy thin books just because I feel like they're easier to reference than something that has a lot of, like I said, unnecessary explanation. It's just easier to come back and find those specific points. But that being said, even though it was still a thin book, it had a lot of content, and I do think it's one of those that you need to dog ear and come back to later. You can't just read through it once and be an expert in dialogue. It will take, maybe several read-throughs, I would say, but I really enjoyed that one. The next book that I read was Everything, Everything, and I am not going to try and pronounce all these authors' names just because I feel like I'm always wrong. So I'm going to put the title and the author name in the description box in case you're curious. So Everything, Everything came out as a movie not too long ago. It might have been last year or something, I don't remember. But I actually did end up watching the movie after I read the book. But so this book I actually read as an audiobook, and this was actually my first audiobook experience where I wasn't driving. I was just, puttering around the house. But so far I really like audiobooks. I like that I don't have to sit in a specific place and devote my time to just, staring at a page. I can be, working with my hands, doing dishes, cleaning up, whatever I need to do, but still engaging that part of my brain by reading. So Everything, Everything is one of the contemporary books that I had a goal of reading this year. Like I said before in my last update, I am writing a contemporary fiction novel right now. And so I really wanted the practice in that area as far as, writing relationship conflicts and things that weren't so heavy on the action. So far, reading more contemporary has been really helpful for me in my writing. But I may actually do a review of Everything, Everything. I had more points that I wanted to mention just as far as this particular book. So yeah, that may be coming up soon. The next fiction book that I read was the Elysian Prophecy, and this author is actually a fellow YouTuber. I've been following her for a while now, and she was the one that I really wanted to support as far as, purchasing her debut novel. I definitely felt invested in this story. She had been sharing, her journey along the way, and so I definitely wanted to see the finished product. So anyway, the last book that I just finished reading is First Comes Love by Emily Giffin. She's one of those authors that I have read at least half of the books that she's come out with, and I always want to come back and read more. I just really like her writing style. She does such a great job of coming up with plots based around these, relationship issues, and, this might sound bad, but I think just as a reader, putting my reader hat on, sometimes I tend to think, oh, that's not going to be very interesting, or it's, thinking that somehow the pace will be slower because there's not a lot of action and things going on. But she just does such a good job of keeping you invested in these characters. And so that's why I love reading her. I just think that she's a great role model when it comes to writing those relationship conflicts. And also I just really aspire to have a career like hers. You know, I love looking at Pinterest and seeing all of her books lined up together. That's definitely a goal of mine, is to someday look at my shelf and see all these hard copies of my novels just like she has. So she's definitely a role model for me. Okay, so I wanted to line up what is on my TBR list for the rest of the year. So number one is, I did mention in my last recap I wanted to read more poetry, and so I have The Princess Saves Herself in this one. I did notice that the author already came out with a sequel, so I feel like now I really have to get going and read this one so I could read the next one. But yeah, that one will be, I think, really good. I also have The Good Body. I repurchased this one. This is one I actually read back in college for a course that I had. It was like an essay writing. I think it was a persuasive essay writing course. And I just really enjoyed the book. It was very body positive. I just wanted to pick that up again. So I'm looking forward to reading that one as well. And I recently acquired the entire Shel Silverstein collection. Shel Silverstein is one of my favorites since I was a kid. I just have always loved his poems. I just feel like they're so relatable, not only to kids, to adults, to everyone. You know, his themes are so universal. And so I don't know if I'm going to be able to read through the entire collection this year. We'll see. I definitely want to chip away at it, so. And of course, I am dying to read War Storm. It is the final book in the Red Queen series. I can't believe I haven't read it yet already. When the last one, King's Cage, came out, I read it that month that it was released, and I poured over that book until I was done with it. So it might take me a little bit longer because I have some books kind of ahead of it on my list, but I'm definitely reading that this year for sure. And then there is When Life Gives You Lululemons by Lauren Weisberger. Again, hopefully that's how you say her name. But she's the author of The Devil Wears Prada, and I did read that one, and I read Revenge Wears Prada, and I really enjoyed both of those. I do think, though, you can't read those expecting for them to be like the movie, because they're just not. They're their own story. They stand alone. They're their own thing. But yeah, I really enjoyed those, and I'm really looking forward to this next one in that same sort of world with those characters. And then I was also thinking about reading This Is Where It Ends. It's about a school shooting. It sounds pretty dark. But I still am intrigued. I want to read it, and it was recently released. It's a recent launch. So I'm hoping to read that this year, and hopefully it will be good. And then I have another book on my list. It's called The 90-Day Rewrite. This book I actually started earlier this year, at the beginning of the year, when I was doing my outline. I started reading it, and then I realized that it wasn't really going to help me with that part. It's more of, I think it's better for someone that's already written their second draft, or they have a rough draft that they liked that, you know, was more successful than mine, and for them to kind of go back and look at what they've written, but it's not really going to help you write an outline. So I'm waiting until I finish my second draft, and then I'm going to go back through it, pick it back up, and go through and glean whatever information I can from it. So as far as my TBR list for this year, if I'm able to finish those, I will have achieved my poetry goal, I will have achieved my writing books goal, my personal development books goal, contemporary, and then of course supporting debut authors. And there are a ton of other books on my list. There are some new authors that I just am interested to read and kind of get a feel for their style, but I don't want to overcommit just since it's already halfway through the year. So we'll see, in my next quarter recap. If I've gotten through all these goals, then I will put some more of these on my TBR list, and maybe I'll be able to tack on a few more. So that was my second quarter wrap up of my 2018 reading goals, and I'm very excited for this next quarter. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here and you like this sort of a video, please subscribe to my channel. I make all kinds of videos about reading as a writer, character analysis, writing updates, and writing tips. So if you like that sort of a thing, you're definitely in the right place, and I make new videos every single week. So stay tuned, and until next time, bye.